pastor at Anderson University, introduced my old college roommate, Stan Williams, to the crowd, and Stan rolled out across the stage to address the students and the faculty, and there were some other friends such as myself who were present at this event at our old alma maters just a few days ago, just this past week. When I say that Stan rolled out across the stage, that's not a hip way of describing how he moves. What I mean is that he was in a motorized wheelchair, and he was literally rolling to his position. Here, bring up the picture there, Karen. There's Stan giving his talk. In the motorized wheelchair there. Stan rolled out onto the stage, and he told a funny story, but then he began to tell us about some physical problems that he experienced. This was, I think, about a year and a half ago this began. It resulted in some doctor visits, and then that resulted in some tests. You guys know how this works, right? And then that resulted in trips to specialists, and that resulted in more tests, and that ultimately resulted in a conversation that he recounted for us with a neurologist who had to tell Stan some bad news. You have ALS. And Stan said, okay, let's get started doing whatever it is we need to do. The way that Stan reacted, the doctor thought maybe he didn't actually understand what this meant. Maybe he didn't understand, not everybody knows what this is. Maybe he didn't understand the severity of it. And she said to him, this is terminal. And he said, oh yeah, I'm because of the kind of work he did. He said, I'm very familiar with it. Let's get started doing what we need to do. And then Stan went on Thursday to describe to all of us who were present, assembled at this auditorium, how ALS destroys the muscles and how it progresses and the damage that it does and how it eventually results in the death of the person who has it. It is 100% fatal. But then so is life, isn't it? Yeah. None of us is getting out of here alive. Don't worry, I got good news today, but Stan has a form of ALS that isn't quite as aggressive. It's a little slower progressing, but it is what it is, and he understands where this is going. He understands it fully. Now, Stan is a husband, he's a dad, he's a grandpa. In fact, the day before this talk, Stan had the joy of holding his newest grandson, who had just been born. It doesn't seem very fair, does it? Life doesn't seem very fair sometimes, does it? Doesn't seem very fair. But after describing what was happening to him physically, Stan said to this crowd that was gathered there, he said, don't feel sorry for me. Please, he said, I'm not here for pity. In fact, he said this at this talk, he said, I'm to be envied. That's what he told us. I'm to be envied. And then he went on, he's such a great guy. He gave a wonderful, profound, challenging, wise, spiritually uplifting talk about living life. The one you have. You got one right now. Right? Are you alive right now? Some of you look, maybe not quite so. Check, just in case. He talked about life. He beautifully talked about never missing the opportunity to tell someone that you love them. Well, I'd like to give a talk about that. That was what he said about that was so good. He talked about he's dying of ALS. He talked about God's goodness to him and his graciousness, God's graciousness. He talked about living your life in a way that will matter after you're gone. Because all of us are going to be gone at some point. All of us. We're starting a brand new series today.